What's a sign that someone grew up poor? When you can finish a meal, pulling it apart to at least eat the meat because that's the expensive part. Or just force feeding yourself any meal you buy because you have to feel like you didn't waste. Being hypersensitive to any light left on, door left open, opening the fridge too much, running water too long, etc. because you're trained to minimize utilities. Never pouring more than 1 or 2 glasses of any drink when at someone else's house, except water, because you don't want to be seen as wasteful gluttonous. Making weird snacks out of food that is supposed to be a snack, except eating dry ramen noodles like chips, Kool-Aid with sugar and your finger to make your own fun dip. Eating Kraft cheese, sliced cold hot dogs are the things that are normally just a part of a meal. My partner and I are very comfortable now, but I still do all of the above. Sometimes my dinner is just a plate of leftover bits and bobs that I'd never think to put together, simply because their use-by date is coming up. But my partner will throw whole slices of pizza in the bin because it's full and it drives me up the wall. As the other side of the poor coin. In other words, I was poor and am never living like that again. Hoarding behaviors of things you probably should have gotten rid of out of food won't be able to replace them easily. I keep a stack of boxes broken down because there's still this fear in the back of my mind that I'll have to move again at a moment's notice. I make a decent salary now and have lived where I am for nearly 7 years. But I still can't part with those boxes despite the space they take up. Under the bed, behind the chest of drawers, yeah, I still have them. Scanning the menu for the cheapest options possible when at a restaurant. It's okay, the soup is really enough for me. I was invited to go to Disney World with my best friend in high school. I did that for the first part of the week in every restaurant we went to, usually ordering a cheeseburger while my friend and his parents were ordering big-ass steaks and all sorts of seafood. My friend's dad stopped me when we were walking back to the hotel and asked if I was a picky eater. I told him no. He asked why I kept ordering the same thing every time we went out. I said, well, that's what I usually order when I go out to eat, and didn't want to order anything more expensive because it wasn't my money. He kinda chuckled, assured me that he wasn't going to run out of money and permanently banned me from ordering a cheeseburger when I was on a trip with him unless we went to somewhere that specialized in burgers. I spent the rest of that trip eating lobster, crab and steak. Never replacing anything unless there's absolutely no way to use the old thing anymore, and going to absurd lengths to keep something still usable. For me, I have what I call poverty mentality. While I can afford new shoes and clothes, they have to be falling apart for me to replace. I grew up poor and my husband grew up middle class. Whenever we have guests, I'm constantly asking people if they got enough food. Is anyone still hungry? I can make something else. My husband will inquire about the quality of the food and if it is to everyone's liking. I think when you grow up poor, food is very much quantity over quality. In the United States, it's say poor dental history or teeth. Dental work is a luxury overall. It's say many hoarders grew up poor because they are so afraid of not having something if they'll need it, so they keep everything. I didn't grow up super poor, more lower middle class. We were not housing or food insecure, but there wasn't much for extras. As far as dental work, it was basically emergency only. I always thought that people who could afford braces were pretty well off. I paid for my own as an adult and made sure that all of my kids had them. My older sister hasn't been so fortunate. She is missing a lot of teeth and has full bottom dentures. She would have to become very wealthy at this point in her life to overcome the damage that's already been done. To me, teeth are a status symbol in the United States. People with straight, white teeth that are their own teeth are either lucky or they have been able to pay for it. Lack of exposure to cultural events. Missing out on experiences that others may take for granted, such as attending concerts, traveling, or participating in extracurricular activities. Really identify with this. I grew up very poor in an affluent area, and I remember kids constantly talking about a resort town 2 hours away that everyone went to for holidays, where many families own homes. I could basically name all the businesses and activities at this resort without ever having been there. Every single grain of rice or piece of vegetable, no matter how small, and my husband will have a couple or several bites worth still left and just scrape his plate off and put it in the sink. My daughter does this too, and I try so hard not to say there's still a couple bites left there if you scrape around the bowl, because I don't want her to have a complex or think I'm weird or pushy. She has never gone hungry, and I make damn sure of it. It's okay for her to leave a few bites if she's full. But it's not okay for me, even though now I know I can always have food. Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Good luck.